Many senior executives do not search for their next role the same way early career professionals do. At the executive level, the best opportunities are often not posted publicly. They emerge through trusted conversations, networks, strategic positioning, and access to the hidden market. For leaders who have spent decades building companies, teams, and results, the challenge is not simply writing a resume, it's knowing how to reposition their leadership value, enter the right conversations, and move with confidence. Today, we are going to talk about the reverse headhunting, international executive transitions, hidden leadership opportunities, and how technology may help senior leaders become more visible, better positioned, and more strategic in the next move. Welcome to another edition of the Smart Office Podcast. I'm your host, Lit Asa. I am an AI implementation engineer. I help small businesses use practical AI and technological systems to improve operations, client experience, and growth. Today, I am excited to welcome Analdo Lazy-Ginio, founder of Start Navigator. Analdo brings more than 30 years of international top management experience, especially in the automotive industry, powertrain technologies, and e-mobility. Through Start Navigator, he helps senior executives take a more strategic and proactive approach to their next leadership move, especially when traditional job search channels are not enough. Analdo, welcome to the Smart Office Podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me for your podcast.
Thank you, Analdo. I was interested in Start Navigator because your work addresses a very specific executive problem. Like many senior leaders are extremely experienced, but when they enter a career transition, they may suddenly realize that the traditional job market does not work the same way at their level. They may have led teams, managed business units, delivered results, and operated internationally, but their next opportunity may not come from a job posting. It may come from strategic visibility, positioning, network access, and confidential conversations. That makes your work very, very relevant. So, how are you doing today?
Doing fine. I'm doing fine. Yes, I'm in Germany right now,
Okay,
just finishing the day, and had a productive day. So doing fine.
that's good.
Thank you.
So there's many things we're going to talk about: headhunting, reverse headhunting, hidden market access work at the executive level where you really specialize in, and many people are not really aware of it. So today we're going to talk about it, talk what you do, and hopefully a lot of people may now be able to reach out and maybe they may become your clients. Some of the listeners are listening to us and they may not know about this headhunting procedure. So Start Navigator is really specialized with that. Analdo, before we get into reverse headhunting, can you share your story? How did your international executive career lead you to Start Navigator?
Sure. Yes. I've been an executive in the automotive industry for more than 35 years, and I have worked in different countries: Brazil, US, Germany, Poland, Italy, and worked for 35 years in that automotive industry in different locations, in different roles and positions. And after 35 years, I wanted to do something different, and I was not sure exactly what to do. But one thing I knew, one part of my previous job that gave me always satisfaction was to support and help people to develop. I mean, talents to develop. And this was a part of my job that I was passionate about. And I always, give me always a lot of satisfaction helping people to progress in their career. And so when I was thinking about, what to do next after my, let's say, executive life, my partner came with that idea of reverse headhunting. And he
Okay.
introduced me this methodology that was also new to me 4 years ago. And then I started digging, I started, researching and finding out what's in the market about reverse headhunting. What does that exactly mean? Because it's very different from the traditional headhunting approach. And then I found it interesting, and and started to, think about and did some benchmarking, what was available in the market here in Europe. And then we decided to start the company, what we did, 3 years ago, with the main objective, again, as the name of our company says, Neu Start Navigator, right, in German, but the new start. So we basically, support top executives in their new start, to navigate a new start in their careers, right?
Wow.
Many executives, they remain in the job in the same company for sometimes 20, 25 years or more than that. Many executives, they never needed to search for a job in their
Right.
career, but suddenly it may happen. That might happen, right? And then, that's where we come in to support senior executives to navigate their next career step.
Wow. That's quite interesting. So when senior executive they hear the name Near Start Navigator, what do you want them to understand about your mission?
Yeah, the mission, our mission is to support the executives, right, to find their next target role
Right.
according to their target criteria, right? So we talk to the clients and we understand from each client what is the next client target role, what gives satisfaction to the client, because this is a proactive approach. This reverse headhunting methodology is very proactive approach, right? So the clients, they need to be selective and
Right.
they need to reflect about what they want to do next, what gives them satisfaction, and basically, once we understand that, our mission is navigate, support the executive to navigate through that, new or next career step. That's our mission.
So Near Start Navigator, I know you guys talk about the moment when an executive says probably I was never job hunting, and then suddenly they find themselves. There may be situations where there is a reorganization and leadership now. They've been in a leadership for so long. Why is that moment so difficult for senior leaders? Is it because they underestimate the market? It's something they are not used to. Why is that
Yeah.
difficult?
Yeah, well, first of all, sometimes, when this moment happens, it's not expected, right?
Right.
Not because the executives are, you know, they are bad or they are doing something wrong, not at all. But most of our clients, they are very experienced senior executives, but the companies sometimes they do a restructure or they do a merge or an acquisition, and
Hmm.
suddenly, right, they decide to eliminate some jobs, and then when that happens and that unexpected, that's unplanned, right? That might be difficult first
Right.
because the executives they need some time to absorb that, right, what happened. But I think it's very important to take that moment, absorb that moment, and then continue to march ahead, right? The executives, again, they're all experienced. They work in several industries, in several countries. We work with a lot of international executives, and
Mm.
and if that happens, they need to take a moment, absorb, and then continue to go on, right? And
Right.
search for the next role, and that's where we can support a lot, because some of the executives they even didn't need to prepare their CV or to update their
Right.
CV in the last 10, 15 years. Some of the
Things have
executives,
changed.
right?
So, what does reverse headhunting mean in practical terms? Like for somebody who is listening to this for the first time and people don't know what this is, can you explain a little bit more in practical terms what reverse headhunting is?
Sure. Yeah, in practical terms, so you have the traditional headhunting where the headhunters they hunt for candidates for that job, for that mandate, right?
Mm,
What we do is called reverse headhunting. Is the reverse. So we hunt the job for the executives. That's why it's called reverse or inverse headhunting.
okay, so you guys get the executive and then you start looking for a job for that executive.
Exactly, exactly. We
But
say that we are the project manager, if you will, of the executives
okay,
with the task to
so
hunt the next job for them. Of course, according to their target criteria and so on.
So in other words, your client, your principal client is the executive, not the company that is looking for.
Exactly. We don't work for the companies. We work for individuals, for senior
Right.
executives, for people, right? We don't work directly for the companies. Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, that makes wow, that's a good explanation. So you get them somebody. So if somebody, an executive wants to reach out to you, it's not necessarily because there's a job available that the job wants is you reaching out to you because, well, I'm an executive and I'm looking for opportunities that you look for me. Is that what it is?
Exactly. Yeah. If you there are a lot of executives, from my network and from my partner network that they reach out to us when they are either thinking about an next role. That's
Right.
also, very much the case. So they are still employed. They have a good job, let's say, but they are not happy anymore with the current job,
Mhm.
or they are not challenged anymore, or they are looking for, you know, a different
Yeah.
opportunity where that gives more satisfaction to them, more pleasure to them. And they come to us, with this, and sometimes, they don't know exactly what is the
Mhm.
next target role that will be most appropriate to them. So, and that's one of the first steps in our program. We have a deep discussion with the client. First of all, to understand, to get to know the client as a person, to know the past experience of the client, and then to understand what, what gives satisfaction to this client, and what could be a potential next role that would fit well to that client. So that's one of the first steps, right? To gain that clarity from our discussion. It's a peer-to-peer discussion, right? To help the client figure out what he wants to do next, because some of the clients, they are not sure. They want to do something
They're not
different,
sure.
but they are not completely sure.
They're not sure. Okay. So okay, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm listening.
No, and some of the clients, I just want to say, some of the clients, they come to us because they know that they will leave their current job. So in Europe, it's very common. A lot of companies doing restructuring, and then, they give an exit contract to the executive, but with 6 months notice period, sometimes 1 year notice period. So they know that they are going to leave in 6 months or in 1 year, right? And they don't have so much time pressure, and they can be selective, looking for the new opportunities. I think
I see.
our methodology or program works better when the clients are selectively looking for their next opportunity, because again, it's a proactive approach.
So New Start Navigator uses phrases like your next role isn't your job application, it's an executive move. Um what do you mean by that? Like it's an executive move, it's not a job application.
Yeah, well, we I think one important information is that, and I think you mentioned that in the beginning, right? We work in that so-called hidden job market
I see, yeah.
because the market is very tough. The market is very competitive, right? In Europe or in US or in Canada. So the market is very
Mm,
competitive, the job market, I mean. And therefore, if you search for a job and if you do the traditional things, which are, applying for a job posted on LinkedIn, or
mm,
upload your CV on the career website of a company, or send an unsolicited CV to a headhunter, the chances are very low that you're going to get
very, very low.
your next, because it's a lot of competition and the jobs are already public at that stage. So
Right.
what we do instead, we work in that hidden job market
Hmm.
where the positions are not made public. They are not advertised, especially
Right.
level and executive positions. More than 50% of those positions, they are not made public. They are not
Wow.
advertised. And that's the hidden job market that we work, that we operate in. And basically, you need three things to be successful
Hmm.
in that hidden job market and to find your next job, which is part of our program, the three things. The first thing, you need to have a clear strategic positioning. You mentioned about that in the beginning, right? And positioning is different than visibility. So you need to have, your USPs, your unique selling proposition, clearly describe it and prove it with facts and figures. And it should be described in a way that when a CEO, when a decision maker reads your profile, he or she will understand in 1 minute what makes you different from the rest of the competition, right? So that's the first thing, the strategic positioning. Then the second thing, you need the access to the hidden job market because the positions are not public, right? They are not advertised.
Yeah.
So we provide you the access to that job market by doing, several things like, we develop an outreach strategy for the clients. We search for a target list of companies that matches, that fits best to the client. Then we search for the decision makers to contact on behalf of the client, right? Then we launch that outreach strategy. So we do a couple of things and we keep doing that over the program to generate a pipeline of conversations and interviews for the clients. So the client will have over the process, more than one interview. And we want to give that chance also to the client. The client can have in the same period of weeks, let's say, 3, 4, 5 interviews, and then decide what's really the ideal job for the client.
So just to follow up on that, what mistakes do executives make when they rely only on headhunters, job postings, or their personal network? So what do you think somebody has to come to you? And if they don't come to you, what mistakes do you think they are doing? And they just want to rely on traditional headhunters?
Yeah. Yeah. A common mistake is to rely on your existing network. So they
Right.
say, well, they think, well, I have, a lot of experience. I have a strong background, and that's going to
Mhm.
be enough for me to find a new job. And the job will come to me. So in fact, that's a mistake, right? Because again, the market is tough. It's competitive.
Right.
Nothing wrong with the background and the experience with the executive, but that's not enough, right? Because there are a lot of other executives that are also, very strong and with a strong background in the market, right? So just relying on your existing network and hoping that a headhunter will contact you or that a company recruiter will contact you, that's a big mistake, and that's not going to happen, right? In a competitive market like we are today. So the other mistake is not having a clear strategic positioning, having a CV or a LinkedIn profile that don't speak, about yourself in a clear way, showing your USPs, showing, what makes you different and special than the rest of the candidates. And that's where we come in and also help to polish and to develop that strategic positioning. Then you need the access to the decision makers, right? You cannot rely only on your network, but you need to expand continuously your network. So as part of our program, we show you also how you can continually expand your network, but in a targeted manner and in a strategic manner to the decision makers, for the jobs that may fit for you, right? And then another common mistake that executives they do, and even myself when I was executive, is one mistake is not being prepared for the interviews and for the
Right.
conversation with decision makers, right?
Okay.
Because they may think about, well, I'm an experienced executive, 30 years of experience in the market. I did so many interviews and I interviewed so many people. I don't need interview preparation, right? And that's a mistake because there is, you can prepare well for the interviews. There are, structured manner how to reply to a direct question or indirect question in 2, 3 minutes and bringing to the point, bringing your USPs, because there is only one thing that the interviewer needs to remember about the executive is his or her USPs again, right?
Right.
So we also, as part of our program, we prepare the executives for those conversations with the decision makers, and we also provide them company dossier reports because they need to research about the company, they need to research about the decision maker that they're gonna speak to, right? They need to be really well prepared for that conversation because you have one shot right? One shot in this conversation, and you cannot lose that opportunity.
Wow, wow, that's quite a lot. A lot of people really don't know that. You're really right. Sometimes you have one chance, and if you don't, if you miss that chance, it can be another 6 months or 1 year. Especially because executive positions too are not as common as everyday positions, right? So, but your own experience includes international leadership, automotive. It's quite a lot. You've been everywhere. E-mobility, transformation, cross-cultural work. So, how does this international experience change the executive change process, like search process? You've been maybe North America, Europe, and everywhere. How does the international experience change the search process?
Yeah, I think this international experience, this cross cultural background, is very important nowadays for any top executive, right? The companies are getting more and more global, right? If I think about companies here in Europe or here in Germany, right? Even typical German companies, they became global and they need to compete globally in other markets, not only in Europe, right? So I think an executive that has that international exposure, that cross-cultural understanding, that is able to work, in different countries with different cultures, respect the cultures, understand the cultures, right, and take, and bring in the results of these different countries and locations and cultures, right? I think that's an executive that's valuable for the market nowadays, right? Because again, the companies they are becoming more and more international. They are competing in different markets, and it's important for the executives, to have that understanding how to operate in each of the different markets globally.
Right. So, what matters most in when someone is moving across countries? Is it the culture? Is it the languages or business culture? What do you emphasize on, or what is at the top that really
Yeah,
matters?
languages, I would say, of course, it's a plus, right? If you speak the local
Right.
language, of course, it helps. But I think even more important than the language, I would say, is the understanding of the culture, right? I think you need to learn about the culture. You need to respect the culture, right? Even if there are things that you may not, let's say, agree or like, it doesn't matter. You need to learn and respect, right? And if you show in the countries that you're operating, if you show that you have an understanding, you have an
Of the
appreciation
culture.
for the local culture, and you understand the local culture, I think that brings a lot of benefits to you, and then you are able to work locally with the different chains.
That's very important. So, Analdo, I notice as New Start Navigator continues growing its executive career navigator, navigation and reverse headhunting work, what business priority are you most focused on improving right now? You've been in the market for 4 years, right? Am I correct?
Yeah, we've been in the market for 3 years.
So, how has priority changed over time? And what are you focused on in the
Yeah.
next 12 months?
Sure. When we started, obviously, we wanted to test our methodology, prove that works with the first client. So that was 3 years, 3 years and a half ago, right? And we did that. And now I would say we have been pretty successful. The company is running better than expected, and we have clients in several countries in Europe. We have clients in US. We have clients in Brazil, right? And with different industries, from different industries, right? We have clients from automotive industry, from manufacturing industry, from industrial, from pharmaceutical, from medical devices, from chemical industries. So all kinds of industries. And now we are at the stage in our company to prepare to scale the company for further growth. So that means we are working on our internal and external also business processes,
Process.
how we can optimize, the business processes, how we can implement new tools. And we use a lot of artificial intelligence tools and agents for some of the things we do. And we want also to reinforce the use of AI in some of the steps of our program and some of the tools that we need. So basically, we are focusing on that now, scaling the company to grow even
Right.
more. improving business process using AI. That's one of the major focus at the moment.
Which parts of the executive transition should always remain human when it comes to technology, AI, and all that?
Yeah, AI can help, and again, we use a lot of AI tools to help. But I think at the end of the day, you need a person behind with some experience that can judge the result that AI tools give you, right? So, for example, everybody can do a CV using AI too, right?
Right.
But it does that. But I think you need not only the CV itself, but you need, before that, you need to think about, okay, why are you doing that CV? What is your target position? What's your, strategic positioning? What's your target roles? What's the market where you have more chances, right, to get a new job? And then once you understand all those things, right, then, then maybe an AI tool can help you, but not just, asking the AI tool, okay, give me my CV, right? That's not enough. So I think AI can for sure, help on a lot of things to optimize and to save time. But at the end of the day, my opinion is that there is always, some people with experience that needs to be in the background, judging and the results of AI tool, and even challenging the AI tool, right? Because as you know, right, sometimes AI tool gives you a result, and you challenge, you keep asking questions, and it's one question,
Yeah.
and then you get better
You see a
results,
different
right?
answer. So
Yeah.
when it comes to the job market and how technology is moving with AI tools, you've been 3.5 years, going to 4 years. How do you see the transition? Are we creating more opportunities, less opportunities? Opportunities? Is the job market transitioning to something else? Is there a trend that sometimes people complain that technology and AI is taking away some of these jobs from us? Where do you see the trend? Is it affecting headhunting executive level jobs or not?
I think, yeah, AI is affecting and is gonna affect a lot of jobs, right? But I would say that the jobs with more repetitive and simple activities, I think those jobs will be replaced by AI completely, right? But a job, for example, for a senior executive, right? The clients that we have, I think the job market is going to be always there for, a vice president and general manager, or for a CEO, or for a CTO, right? Because AI will not be able to replace those senior executive jobs.
Yeah.
And even some lower level jobs, right? They are going to be still there. Probably they are going to change a little bit in because AI will help a lot, but they're gonna change in a sense that the people.
Right, right, right. Well, Analdo, thank you for joining me on the Smart Office podcast. It was really a pleasure talking to you. I really appreciate the way you share insights on executive transitions, something our listeners too would be very keen to understand. And then the hidden market access. I mean, there's always been the notion that we have a hidden market, but to know that there are people specialized in that area, it's good for many people to know. Then there's international leadership, how technology may support senior leaders without replacing the human judgment and the trust that is required at that level, at every level. So thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it.